and they want to be known. And if you can help them with their social media, that has been a huge game changer for partnerships with lenders and realtors, because I'm helping her with social media. I'm spotlighting them. We collaborate. It gets her reach. It gets me reach. She's going to send me referrals. I've gained a couple referral partners just from that. And it's awesome. And saw a video. And he goes, I saw your video. That's why I'm calling. We got like 9 items off of it.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, thank goodness I posted that. You've got to do that. You've got to know what you need to do so you can get to where you're going. So I think the biggest thing is...
Welcome to another episode of the A1 Experience. You guys are going to like who I have on today. It's my good friend, Mrs. Brooke Brolo. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me, Nick.
I'm excited to have you. A lot of people love you and like my friends, they're always like Mark Mercer, we have so many mutual friends that love you. And I was like, well, I need to get to know her because I'm pretty sure I'd love her too. And so I'm excited to get to know you.
Birds of a feather, right? Yeah. Flock together.
But I know we share the same birthday, August 31st.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild. I love it.
So every time it's my birthday, I see it's your birthday too. And so I knew there was something that, we'd get along with.
That's where we definitely connect right there.
Definitely. Virgo gang.
That's right.
So if you don't know Brooke is a 16-year agency owner, started from scratch, and she has grown all the way into a $15 million mega agency. She is a wife, a boy mom, a coach, and a mentor. Awesome resume, impressive things you've done, and I'm excited to dive into a little bit deeper.
Thanks so much. I'm here for it.
So for those that don't know who you are, please share your story.
Oh gosh, going back from the beginning of when I started with Allstate. So I started scratch. Insurance was not I don't know if you know my story, but insurance was not my first love. I had planned to go to law school. I was on that track, and my stepfather, who raised me, developed cancer. It was terminal, and his agent, not an Allstate agent, but his agent, who was friends of his, didn't let him know that his life insurance policy lapsed. Uh-oh. And they were at MD Anderson in Texas for 6 months, and so they were just keeping the bills on and things like that. So when he passed away, I was like, okay, well, you got life insurance, Mom, right? And she's like, mm-mm. So she had to start over from scratch when he passed away. So within 3 months, she lost her home because that was the only thing she had that was paid off, and sold the home so that she could pay to start over at 53 years old. And I was like, I feel like this is a calling to go a different route, because why didn't that agent pick up the phone and call, especially they were friends? I want to help people and I want to be a business owner, and instead of it being law, I think it's insurance. So that's what got my foot in the door with insurance, and I had a passion for it. Was I don't know what I'm doing. I've never sold it before. I've never, I've been in sales, but I was like, I'm just going to dive in and I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else, and have a passion for it. And here I am 16 years later. So
it's a lot less expensive to get into insurance than it is to get into law, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So why did you want to get into law at first?
Well, my mom always says I'm a great debater. I'm always like, my point is. So I don't know. It just always intrigued me. I always watch the movies that, and they're in the, they're in trial and then having the turn. I don't know. So I was just from being a kid, that's what I wanted to do. And then now I kind of do the same thing, but with insurance.
Yeah, we're the enemy to some of the lawyers, right?
Right.
Especially in Vegas. I don't know if you've seen all the lawyer billboards. You probably don't pay attention.
I haven't left, you're in a dungeon.
True,
in the,
But there's 9 out of 10 is a lawyer.
Oh, wow.
And that's why our rates are pretty crazy, especially uninsured. It's so bad out here. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. So you started 15 years ago. And then at some point, you start your family.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. 6 months in, unexpectedly. Okay. So, scratch agency, no money, and no experience. And then got pregnant 6 months in. We had tried fertility for 4 years, and nothing worked. Opened a business that you don't know what you're doing, and there you go.
That's the solution. You got to start a business.
I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So I'm having a baby, and I'm running a business. So it was pretty wild. So baby number 1, and then after 3 years, I was like, well, we should probably try again because it's going to take. And then it was boom, okay, baby 2. So boy, mom, here I am.
Both boys?
Yes.
Okay. How old are they now?
11 and 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fun age, I guess.
Is it?
I don't
Is
know.
it?
I don't know.
No, the fun age is what you have with
The
the
baby.
precious little girl. My gosh. No, I'm I know nothing. Like I'm called bruh, not mom. I don't understand any of the lingo. I'll use like sigma and shibbity or skibbity or whatever the hell it is. All those wrong, and they're just like, you're such a nerd. Don't
It's
try to be cool. I'm
it's
like,
hard to keep up with it. The lingo keeps
I
changing.
know.
Right now, one of the words that I keep seeing on my posts are diabolical.
Diabolical.
It's a new one, I guess.
Demure, like all this
Demure,
big
yeah.
trends going.
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, y'all like my swag the other day? And they're like, it's drip now. Like, don't try.
I don't even know if is it dripping. I feel like it's had to have grown from that at
Evolved.
some point.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm still familiar with drip. What were some of the things, like, I guess, what were some of the hard parts of the journey? And I guess what were some of the things that things started clicking for you, and what were
Right.
some of the things that led to that and
Sure.
gave you some momentum to get you to where you're at?
Well, hard part, obviously, not knowing what I was doing and wanting to learn and looking to others for that, advice and that mentorship. And I didn't have that. And I was back 16 years ago. There were not very many female agents. It was like me and another new girl. So she didn't know anything either. And so I had reached out to an older agent, had been around, and he was like, you know what? Why don't you just come work for me? Because you're not going to make it.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Is this you're in
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay.
Yeah.
Was this in Arkansas, or this was like some other agency?
It was in Arkansas.
Okay.
It was in Arkansas. Yeah, not too far down the road. But I have his book now, so I didn't have to pay for it. I got seated, so it's kind of a full karma.
Wow.
I know, right? But so that was like a hit. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I'm one of those people that's like,
It's not
okay,
a good way to recruit, though. Like,
right?
who recruits that way?
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna fail, and when you do,
Yeah. He's like, you're
all
smart.
right.
You're a smart girl, but you're going to run out of money. Just come run my agency. I was like, yeah, no, like, I'm going to do everything I can. Like, that was fuel for me. Like, some people would be like, oh, and I was like, okay, watch me. So, but I found Craig several years later, and he's been a mentor and found that network.
He's
of
helped all of
agents.
us.
I know,
He's
right?
helped all of us.
He's so amazing.
The Godfather.
I know.
Insurance agents. What is every agency's highest closing lead source without fail? Personal referrals. What if I told you I could help you turbocharge the frequency in which you got personal referrals? In the last 5 years, I've written over 5,000 items and $3.5 million in premium from inbound organic sources, and it cost me nothing. How? Because posting on social media is free. If you want to turn your agency into a referral machine, then go to nicksaka.com/creators and sign up for the Insurance Creators Mastermind, where me and my team will meet with you and your team twice a month to help you with something that no other agency is doing. Imagine having the guidance, the ideas, the trends, and the strategies that actually work in converting more business for your agency. Go to nicksaka.com/creators for more. Now, back to the show.
But yeah, I mean, that was tough. And raising 2 kids while you do it, and like when like starting a business, like you're all in, like there's no days off, no sleep. And so it's like I'm where's the line, between when should I be with my kids right now, but my business needs me, like, so it's still a balance today, but it was very difficult to find that. But when I started hiring the right people, because I was like, I'm killing myself trying to do it all. And I was like, okay, let me find someone that sees my passion. And then I found one, and then I found another, and some bad ones in between, of course. But I figured out, like, I can really scale. And I can, there are people that want to grow and see my passion and have that same fire. And so, they help me, I help them, and it's a win for both of us. But
what does your structure look like right now, as far as like managers and salespeople, service team members? I know you have some awesome processes. I remember seeing you. I don't remember if it was in Cancun or Alabama, but you were sharing some of your processes, and I was taking a lot of notes because for me, I always take a bunch of ideas back to my agency, and then it's always like not all of them get implemented, and then you go back to hear from somebody else, and you're like, all right.
Oh yeah, better do that.
Yeah.
No, processes are really big for me, and that's how you can hold people accountable. But so when I started scaling with my team members, I always hire up instead of hire out. So all of my leadership worked for me, in that capacity and moved up. So my service manager, she just started out literally like she didn't have a license. Then she got a license and then did service. Then she did sales. And then she was like, I want to run your second agency when we opened up another scratch. And then we purchased. And then I was like, okay, well, now I need a sales manager because I have a lot of people and I've got 2 kids. And so brought in a sales manager. And then I was like, okay, but now we've grown. And my husband, he was in sales, like orthopedic medical sales, was burnout. And I was like, you should come work for of me and we could have Brolo agencies. And he was like, okay. So we got to buy because, outside buyers, sometimes when you're inside buyer, also
Yeah.
won't let you. So he got to buy. But a year in, he developed a brain tumor. I don't know if you do know this.
No.
So this was in 2019 and it was massive, like baseball size. So there's 2 years. He's totally fine now. You see him all
Thank
over.
God.
But it was slow growing, and you didn't know, and he was having seizures, and it was crazy. And so with 2 weeks finding out, he had surgery, and then he'd only had his agency for a year. So then it was like, okay, back to me. Now we're in like chaos mode. But I leaned really heavily on my leadership team, and they just really, stepped up and came to the occasion. And then he's back. He does all the HR, which is awesome.
Okay.
So he's my HR, and he calls our cancellations, which is awesome because they get a Brolo on the phone, right? It's
Yeah.
like, you need to, your bill's coming up for
That takes a special kind of person.
I know, right?
Oh,
He loves it. He's like, no
cancellation.
problem, But our cancellations like went down. I mean, it works. Now I have an operations manager as well. So there's a good team of us that we meet every Monday. We have called Manager Monday, and I just dive in on
How many locations still?
So we had 3,
Uh-huh.
and we purchased a building and merged all of them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's probably a lot better. Do you have any remote team members?
Oh yeah.
Or
So the majority. At
majority?
this point, yeah. I would probably say 60-70%. We
Okay.
have 1 salesperson in the agency. Everybody else is remote all over the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So like different states.
Yeah. New Jersey, Wisconsin. Yeah.
What's
Like
the time zone in Arkansas? Is it
Central.
Central? Okay.
Yeah.
You guys have that luxury of kind of like pulling from each side.
Yeah. We can
Because
do an hour each.
in the
yeah.
West Coast, like when East Coast people hit me up, I'm like, you're not going to want my hours.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, it's like it's going to be 11:30 to 7:30 for you, or
Right.
8:30. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like to pull from, whatever the West is, because then they're like, yeah, I'm up early, and they're done at 4 o'clock.
Mhm.
It's 5-hour time. So it's, it works out.
Nice. Here's a question I have for you. So you do a lot of social media, and you do a great job of
Oh, well,
it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you just taught on it at Craig Wiggins.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And so with a team of remote staff, I know you do a great job of social media. How about your team? Are they resharing your stuff? The team members that don't live in your state, they don't have much value in tapping into their circles. Now they can build partnerships with the states that you are licensed in.
Right.
But I know that I have an agent in Texas, and I don't encourage her to build a brand unless she wants to open up an agency someday, which
Right,
she
right.
does. So I'm like, in that situation, you should. You should post more content and build a brand. But that's not going to benefit any of the states that we're licensed in,
Right.
Nevada, Oregon, Washington. And so there's not really an incentive for her, but I still hire a ton of local agents. We got one in Arizona. So it's like, hey, you guys should build a brand. You guys should
Yeah.
use social media. So curious on your process with that.
Yeah. No, that's difficult because, they'd be targeting their area, and that's hard, right? But what I usually do is I highlight them. So I don't know if you saw one of my recent reels. It was just like, people were asking, can you still get affordable insurance? Well, hear it from my team. So I just spotlighted the team members.
Got it.
And so they just did a quick video, of saying
From their computer, right?
yeah, like just from their phone or their computer, and I like meshed it together with my video editor and put it out there, and so they still get to like be on, the people that like to be on social media or whatever, like they can be seen and all
Yeah.
that. But people know people everywhere, so that they'll share it with theirs, like, hey, anybody in Arkansas, call us up, we can help you.
You know, an underestimated aspect of social media that I think a lot of agents don't think about is the transfer ins when you are when you post content and other agents know who you are and they know the state or states that you're in, they're gonna think about Nick Sakha if one of their clients moving to Nevada. And I don't think, and then we get a lot of business just from transfer-ins because it's like, I know, we think, do I know anybody in that state? I know Brooke,
Yeah.
I know that person. So it's almost like there's a benefit to trying to be the most well-known agent in your
Right.
state.
Right.
Uh,
I mean, it really is. I mean, the whole reason I use it, is for growth and connection. And I can connect with people all over the place. And it's been very good for my business. And I haven't, I'm newbie to it. I've been watching you do it for years, and you do a great job. You're such an inspiration. But now that I've gotten into it, and now I'm like, I can actually get leads.
yeah.
And people are calling me, and I'm not having to call them. Like, this is awesome.
Close
And
ratio's a little bit easier too, a little bit better.
yeah. So it's been really beneficial for us. So I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to share, what I've learned on my journey, with everybody at CWC, and it was really cool.
Yeah. What did you share about?
Yeah, so just how I use social media to grow, and then how to get started. So Casey Cookert, are you
Yeah.
familiar with
Yeah.
her?
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's helped me with like branding and content and strategy and stuff. So she kind of talked on here's the technical side of it, and I was like, okay, here as an agent, this is how you can actually implement it in your agency. Like, here's what I would do if I were you. Here's examples of what I've done. Like, I teach people about coverage. I'm trying to like be seen as an expert, and then
I'm
I'll
trying to
talk.
make it fun because it's so boring.
Right, right. And then like mine was like over trees, and we got like 3,000 views, like tree coverage, but people ask us like if my neighbor's tree falls on my,
Yeah.
and people watch that, and I was like, I can't believe that got so many views. But we talk about our wins, like when we save people money, and I do funny, like there was like a Pedro Pascal, do you know he is like that Hispanic actor, he like makes a funny face.
I think
And it was
so.
like, this is the face we made when we saved $300 a month for a new customer. I got a new customer off that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome. So
So I know some people's hesitation with social media is that it's not always it's hard to track.
mhm.
Like you do need to train your team on like, hey, how did you find us? Like specifically, like how did you find us? Yeah, I just I found you guys online. No, like where online? So we
Right.
do gotta like teach them to dig deeper. But for the most part, it's hard to quantify the value. Even as somebody that does it, like to
Mhm.
me, I just got into a point where I'm like, I know this works
Right.
because of how much content I'm putting out, and it's not just helping me with referrals, but it makes getting partnerships so much easier, and it makes people want to come work with me. Like I have half my team has come from
Yeah.
somebody that knows somebody saw my hiring post. And
Exactly.
so it does give that like those other benefits, and so like I'm like sold on it.
Oh,
But now
sure.
some people, they're like, oh, I know with the internet leads, I can quantify my cost per acquisition and cost per item, cost per policy is this, and with social media, it is a little bit grayer.
Sure.
Um, but I guess all the evidence is in just look at it where everyone's at. Like the lead companies are generating it on social media.
Right. So I'm like, just
So
do it yourself and cut out the middleman.
yeah,
Right. So like
exactly.
that's my whole purpose for it.
How have you quantified it? And how much do you know? If you had to say how much is coming from, I don't know if you're like me. Do you lump it in the same category? Like COIs and referrals are basically social media
I mean, well, no, I
nowadays.
do keep them separate, but y- we really do try to ask. And I put my web form out there, so if they click a link when I'm like link in bio or whatever, like I know, and it's already
From
tagged.
the
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's already tagged with a folder that says where it's from and all of that. So, and then we'll post stuff with a direct link as well. But there's some of it you're just not going to know, right? That's with anything.
yeah,
But you made a good point about partnerships and referrals. Like that has been a huge game changer for my partnerships with lenders and realtors, because you got to get out in front of them all the time. We're all busy, right? And I'm like, but they're in sales too, and they want to be known. And if you can help them with their social media,
yeah.
then they are. I highlight them. I start doing this local lowdown, and so I'll have like a realtor come in, and I'm like, okay, what questions you want me to ask you, or like here's questions that I have, and you can ask me questions too. And I'm spotlighting them. We collaborate. It gets her reach. It gets me reach. She's gonna send me referrals because I'm helping her with social media. So I mean, I've gained a couple referral partners just from that, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's you stay top of mind. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing.
It's like, I always say that the sales statistics where it's like 12 contacts to get a sale, whatnot. social media cuts that in half
Mhm.
because every time they see your content, that's a contact.
Mhm.
Without you actually having to like email them or text them or call them, it's like there's a contact there.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the customers that I wrote, they're even friends of ours, but they lived in Texas and they had just like moved to Arkansas and like moved their base of their business and saw a video. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, I forgot that you do insurance. I saw your video. That's why I'm calling you." We got like 9 items off of it.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Well, thank goodness I posted that." You know?
It's like delayed too. It's like this, like, it's because I think there needs to be like a triggering event for them to actually like finally reach out and hit you up for a quote.
Yeah.
'Cause it takes like their agent to tick them off or the rates to go up. And so that piece of content you did, a month ago, like so that's the hard part about like, we know where it came from,
Mhm.
but it's hard to say specifically, like, we know it came from like this particular piece of content.
It's kind of like you remember, like you're talking about billboards earlier. Like it's just seeing you out there,
Yeah.
but you're in a digital space now
Yeah.
instead of that, because that's how they would sell that. Like you're being seen every time they drive by. You're a reminder. Same thing with the social. Like
Yeah.
they're in your feed. So
Yeah, except billboards, I don't know how lawyers justify. I think it's just a contest for them at this point.
I think
Like,
so.
it's just a
They're
flex.
they're the only ones that are doing it these days.
It's
Right?
a right. It's a flex. Is it the same in your place, in your
Yeah,
state?
that's the majority of them.
Majority
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Like have an accident, like call us.
In Vegas, it's
hurt.
bad. It's
Yeah.
it's like, oh man. And then a lawyer recently made a post and was like, "I need an insurance agent to collab with," and I was like, I never heard a lawyer say they want to collab with an insurance agent. I'm like, this will be fun. No, I'm down.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Yeah, did you do it?
I'm about to, yeah.
Cool.
So we'll
That's
see how that
awesome.
works. What are some other processes that have contributed to your agency success? I know like the biggest headaches that we deal with usually are staffing and marketing. I guess let's talk marketing since we already talked a little bit about staffing. What are some things that really attribute to your success from marketing? Whether it's internet leads, mailers,
Sure.
social media.
I'm huge on diversify as much as possible, right? I want all the faucets on, like I want every lead source. So I do it all. But I've tweaked it, and sometimes I'll turn them off and turn them back on. But home mailers have been a staple of mine for years. They just work for us. But I really try to make sure they have every call to action on it. I use a separate vendor, not the ones with our company. Because there's very like this is advertisement. It's in the trash. I want to make sure that it's me, it reflects what I want it to say, and like you can text us, you can
The
call
QR
us,
code,
QR
all that
code,
stuff,
all the
yeah.
things.
Do
Exactly.
you do the picture of the house on it? Some people find that
Of course.
creepy.
Yeah, you get the calls that are like, "This is really cool," and then you get the ones like, "I can't believe you took a picture of my
Yeah.
home," and I'm like, "Do you really think that I came to your house and took a picture?" And they're like, "This is like, you're trespassing." I'm like, people just drive by your house and see it every day, right?
Yeah.
But you don't say that,
Like I can
but you
find it on
want
Google
to.
Maps.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'll take you off our list, no problem."
Yeah.
So, but mailers are huge for us. It's one of our top lead sources. I do internet leads. I don't like live transfers. I just think they're just ridiculous.
You have telemarketers?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Like in-house ones or?
Nope. I source that out. Now I will have some of the like with my different lead vendors. My team will call, and then after a week or so, I'm like, okay, we're done, and then I'll send them off. And then I have other vendors that I go straight to the telemarketers. I just don't want to burn them out because the amount of times you really have to touch an internet lead
Yeah.
is so much. Like I don't want, and then you can't follow up on any of your quoted things that you should be, and your win backs and your
You say
rebooks.
burn who out? Your agents?
My agents,
Oh,
my sales
okay.
agents.
Got it.
Yeah.
They meant like the lead, like.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna call them.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure.
We're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
call them forever.
Yeah.
But when you have to make 300 dials in a day, and you can miss, and then you have more leads coming in on top of it. They're stacking, and then you can't get to your regular quoted follow-ups that you're, or things that are going to close at a higher rate. They just get pushed down in your task.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you can do it. I'll do certain ones for like you can do it a week, and after that, if you don't close it, then it's not yours anymore. It's unassigned, and it's going to a telemarketer. It's whoever calls in with that live transfer back in.
what are some of the, I guess, standards and expectations from one of your agents on a daily basis? Whether that's like
Sure.
full volume,
Yeah,
do you do
yeah,
the
yeah.
pyramid? Do you?
The biggest thing for me is quotes. If you're not quoting, you're not closing. So I want to see households quoted, and PBR's big for us, right? So we're like assumptive everything. I want everything bundled. So we look at quotes. I want 7 quoted households a day. So I'm like, you should be seeing 14 to 15 um, quotes a day. That's what I want to see. So we have a jot form, and are you familiar with jot form?
Yes.
Yeah. So they do that, turn it in. We can see every day, but we have a 2 p.m. check in and a thread that we're like, we want 2 numbers in it, like the quotes and the number of items, like 6 and 12 or whatever.
Okay.
So we do that for some accountability. But if we don't have we want 3 items sold. Obviously, that'd be great every single day consistently. But we don't have that. We're looking at quotes. And then I'm looking at talk time and calls. It's not a definitive like I want this many calls or this, but I want 3 hours of talk time.
Yeah.
And we listen to calls, so there's
you-
no
are you
fluff.
Still, are you still listening to your team members' calls and coaching them, or
So
are you mainly coaching the coach?
Yeah,
Of your,
coaching the coach,
okay.
but I like to get in there and listen to calls every now and then. Just
Oh man, I like it, but then I hate what I find.
I know.
And I'm
Until you're
like,
shocked, you're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Did you really say you know better? It's crazy.
One of my managers recently was on vacation for a couple weeks, and then I think it's healthy for us to go back into handling their responsibilities. So like a vacation for them is healthy for 2 reasons. One, because they get to go on vacation. They get to check out and clock out and recharge those batteries.
Mm-hmm.
2, because we get to step into their role and we get to see where they're lacking, what they're missing. And I wasn't happy with a lot of things that I found. Like we had like 3 months of subpar performance. We're still chasing last year's Dragons, where it's like we hit these highs.
Yeah.
And this year, I know Nevada's getting smacked around, but that's not an excuse. I don't like to use excuses. We're just not being, we're off by what our previous highs. And every year we've done better and better and better. And so like this month, I've gone deep into every area of my agency, and it's like, okay, this is why we're at where we're at.
Right.
Because, and it's all my fault because I stopped. Like, yes, it falls on my managers, yes, but ultimately it falls on me.
Absolutely.
Because I stopped inspecting what I expect,
Right.
and therefore they probably stopped inspecting what they expect, and it becomes this thing. And so, yeah, interesting times. I like listening to calls. It's a must. You have to. And that's the thing about this business. It's like there's no such thing as like building it up and coasting. It can come in
not.
waves. Like you can build it up and coast for a wave, but it's a matter of time before you fall. You hit this spot where we've hit.
And aren't you like
a couple months?
No, nothing changed. Like when the highs are good, you're like, okay, nobody quit. Like, let's not get any restrictions on guidelines. You're like, just holding your breath.
Things are going a
you're
little
like
too
waiting
good
for
right
this-
now.
Right. And you're like, I'm like, try to enjoy it. Try to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But no, same with you. We found ourselves at the end of the year, we were declining. And I've always been elite. And then in January, I was like, you're going to be trending for pro if you keep this up. I was like, oh, shit, I really need to dive in and see what's going on. And I was so overwhelmed last year. I took on too many coaching clients. I was more invested in their businesses than my business. And so that's tough because I want them to win too. But I was like, okay, but I'm still an agent.
And it's like somebody that you're coaching is putting up more items than you, and you're like,
Like-
okay, hold on. And it's like you're super happy for them, but you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, okay, like, when they would roll off or graduate or what, I'm like, all right, I need to take a step back and really refocus. So that's when I was like, okay, I got to dive into my processes because I'm like process queen. I want a process, a follow up. We've got a talk path, make it your own, but like the bold has to be said, and I started listening to calls again, just spot check. But it doesn't take long, like you said, to figure out like, okay, and if you're doing that on that one call, you're doing it on all of them.
Yes.
So
it's not like you pulled their worst call.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But this year's been going great for us. We're really, really trending. We're over 200 items a month now, and we get our new product later this month. Do y'all have the new auto product?
It's coming out later this month as well. Nevada's still the like 3rd or 4th worst state to be in because we've had really tight RMPs. You can't have one incident pretty much.
Oh wow, yeah.
And 50% to 66% down on all the autos.
Wow.
It's been a grind.
Yeah.
I don't like to make excuses. Like
Right.
we can
No.
quote in Oregon, right? We could
Yeah.
like it's so it's yeah, the new auto product, it should be exciting. I've heard really good things about
Yeah,
it.
same. I think
And
there's a couple of, and we're in the South and like we have a lot of retirement communities. So that's our like biggest thing. Like, okay, if they, can we come and sign and bring you a check? I'm like, no, you're not gonna be able to do that. So everything's gonna have its challenges, right? But we'll figure out a way to make it work for us. So, and we're hearing a lot of good things that overall that it's a win. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we need it. We need a breath of fresh air because yeah, and I think when things are hot, you got to keep riding that wave
Yeah.
because you don't know how long it's gonna last. I'm like you, like when things are going good, I'm like someone's gonna quit or get fired.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate
It's
that.
not
Like,
too good, damn it.
I'm glad that like the
Yeah.
notifications don't come to me anymore. Like my managers take the like I'm out today or I'm sick or I can't make it in or I'm gonna be late because every morning I'm trying to make it a habit to not check my phone. But when I was in charge of all that, I grab my phone and I'm just waiting for a text message where someone's calling out or someone. I'm like, which bullshit am I gonna wake up to today? And so
My
I'm
husband
actually,
took over HR and it is awesome.
Isn't it
Like
nice?
I don't have to deal with it. So kind of like you, I have my, my buffer there. So.
Yeah, it keeps me in a good state,
Yeah.
to lead the charge. So as a coach, what do you find that most agency owners have struggled with or struggle with?
And I work with, I have some tenured agents, but mostly they're fairly new, a couple of years in, and I don't know if it's the shift from COVID and there's just not. Well, no, I mean now I'm thinking back to like when I was an agent too. I just don't think there's a ton of support from the company. Like it's like, okay, you meet the criteria, you got the money, the capital, okay, go get them. Like here's what you need to be writing. And so I don't think there's a ton out there. And I just don't think they have enough resources for that as far as people. And so they're like, well, they don't have processes. They don't know, how to hire. They don't know how much they should spend or not spend or what's a good, And so we basically get really granular. And I have an intake form that just says, what are you expecting to get out of this? What do you want to get out of this? What are your goals by the end of this year? What are your goals in the next 5 years? Because I care. I mean, I need to see the big 10,000-foot view so that I can say, okay, well, here's the things that we need to dive in. But mostly it's like they just don't know. They don't even know how to read reports. So sometimes I'm like, am I an FSL? Like I'm reading reports. I'm showing people how to read reports. But, you've got to do that. You've got to know what you need to do so you can get to where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just try to help them do that mostly.
Yeah. What skills did you have prior to being an agency owner helped you in your journey now?
I mean, I've always been in sales and
Okay.
I waitressed, and it's about customer service. I waitressed all through college. And I worked in an attorney's office as well. So I think the things that have helped me is just knowing how to, teach or relate with people, and like, how to talk to them. And, I was in sales. And so I think the biggest thing is customer service and, then asking for what you want. You have to have those skills. If you don't have that, like, I can teach you processes. I can teach you how to quote. I can teach you all these things, but I cannot teach you skills like life skills. If you don't have that personality and that want, like, you're never going to, if you don't have a positive mindset, all those things, like, it's never going to work, especially at my agency. Like, I'm like glass half full all the time. Even like you won't know it. I could be having like the shittiest day, and I'm like, when I come into the office, because they deal with enough, right? And so I'm not want to do that more on their plate.
Yeah.
But I think just all the things I did growing up and in sales and just dealing with people. That's what it is. It's just dealing with people.
Yeah, dealing with people. Yeah, absolutely. You just got to understand people, how
Exactly.
they tick, and just really just so simple. I was just talking to my wife about this yesterday. We're watching on Netflix this Crazy Ex or the worst ex
Oh my
in the world.
gosh, I'm watching
What's
that
it
too.
called? One of the ladies that's dealing with a crazy ex. I feel like I only saw like 2 episodes, but I'm like, it's
Are these
always
my
dudes.
customers?
No, it's always like dudes that are the crazy ones. Anyways, when like a murder or something crazy happens, you have to take it to the police department and then they file a case, and then it never gets picked up, or they don't take it seriously until like it gets like national television, right? You know what I'm saying? Like until it gets like more publicity. even you see on all these shows or movies or what have you in reality where it takes one person, a detective or a person that works at the police department, whatever, to say to not give up on that
Right.
case and to actually like take it seriously and to just provide to go above and beyond.
Right.
And so I was telling my wife, I'm like, isn't that crazy how like whether it's in healthcare or an 800 number, you have to like get that person that's actually decent enough or
Right.
good enough to actually help you.
I know. Like,
It's a lost art, and
yeah, like customer service is dead. Like you hear that all the time. And like, so I'm like, you have to like care and really go the extra mile for our customers. Same thing. Like it's with anything. I had I I shop by, I mean, I pack by shopping before my trip. So of course I'm ordering everything off of Amazon before I came out to Vegas. I was like, I need this, I need this, I need this. And I kept looking at, for my track. I'm like, it got delivered. No, it didn't. Like FedEx took it to another house. Then I told them that they took it to another house, and they're like, "Oh, we'll fix it." And then they didn't. And then they're like, "Well, we don't know where it is." And then it showed up on my porch. I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, I went through all of that to, you don't know, but it's back on my porch. Maybe my neighbor did it." But then they sent me wrong. I'm like, I ordered this colored lipstick, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. I'll send you the other one." I'm like, someone just pay attention.
yeah,
Like, just look, double check. Just double check before you do it. Everyone's like, I don't know if they're just busy or if they don't care. Like, they're just going through the motions. Like, there's a lot of that. Like, just stop and slow down for a minute and just double check yourself. And a lot less mistakes will happen.
yeah. I don't know why it made me think about that because even on the show, it's like this serious case where it's like you might have a stalker or something, and it's just like it's discounted or written off. And then it's like something bad happens, and then maybe it gets a little bit of publicity, and then all of a sudden all these people want to jump. I don't know. It's
Yeah, right.
just
Now everybody's on the
compared
bandwagon.
that to business in everyday life and how hard and rare it is. It's like it's not hard to stand out and be great. It's not hard like to
When
just
the standard is,
it's it's so low. It's just actually help people or give them the answer, even if they don't like the answer. It's just give them the answer versus oh, we'll get back to you on it. And anyways,
right.
here's a question I have for you: Is what's something that not a lot of people know about you?
Oh gosh, that is like so like broad. Okay, I got one for you. So I'm a big extrovert. Like I love to meet people, collaborate with people. Like I'm the yes man. Like yes, I'll go on that trip. Yes, I'll go on that, yes, I'll host that party. And I'll put all this stuff on myself. And then but when I like hit a wall, like I retreat and become the biggest introvert, like won't look at my phone, like I'm like, I can't. And so like people don't know that about me. I just get huge anxiety, like overwhelming anxiety. And so like even with speaking on stage yesterday, I speak all the time. But I mean, I was like, but I get up there and like smile, but like people are like, what? I would have never guessed that you are like anxiety ridden or like when you go off, I'm like, yeah, I'm too overwhelmed to look at that. I'm having a lot of anxiety. But yeah, that's a big one for me. So most
Yeah.
people don't know that I don't show it at all, but it's not that
You
I'm
don't let 'em-
hiding it, but
It's
you
good
know,
that you don't let people see you sweat. I
yeah.
think I don't know if it's a Virgo thing, but I feel that I see that I see that in myself as well.
Yeah.
Did you have tech issues though? Because I remember when I spoke,
I know.
I was
We
like,
literally talked about you yesterday because Casey was like, I got notes just in case. I was like, well, the last person that talked about like social media stuff was Nick. And like his whole presentation, he was like, oh my gosh. And he was like, I don't know this by heart.
no,
And
I
she's like,
didn't
I'm
plan
getting
for
notes
this.
just in case.
And when the
You
technology,
handled it well,
it
though.
was like it was down for like 60 seconds, a minute 30. It felt like an eternity up there. Like I felt
like-
me blushing. I felt my face get red, and I was just like,
You played it off so well, though. You did. You were like, oh, not again. Okay, well.
I was asked to speak to an audience of like 1,200 Medicare agents next year, and I'm like,
That's awesome.
and I haven't spoken in front of that many people since CWC.
You're going to have like a backup.
So
I'm like, okay, I'm going to
I'm-
have this right here on my
I
right
dialed in. I need to like plan. I didn't like I prepped for it, but I didn't prep for like technology now.
Yeah.
I guess the lesson is don't count on technology and keep your slides simple.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But it's
Have
hard
a
because
plan B.
Because when you talk social media, it's like people are visual, so it's like you have to show them
You
it.
do.
It's like you can't talk about it because people could talk things, and then my wife could be like, "Hey, babe, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Hold on, let me see it. I need to see it. Can you show it to me?" And so I don't know if other people are visual like me, but
Yes, I'm super visual, but it's funny you say that because, like when you're talking about reels, people are like, "Well, how do you?" I know you're supposed to do a reel. I know a reel is 90-second video, but how do you do it? Like, you're like, okay, well, you have to go to your phone and hit this button, and then you add these clips, and then you can cut, and
yeah,
that's hard to show on a stage. So I was like, okay, how are we going to present social
yeah,
media?
and dumb it down. And
Right.
our industry's a little behind in social media because I'm a part of a mastermind of lenders. And if you're not a part of a lender mastermind, you
Hmm.
need to be because
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
smart move. I'm telling you
Okay.
right now. There are masterminds of lenders, and you just want to be the only insurance agent in there.
I need to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine's cost like 15 grand.
I think we have like a
But I was
that's
like,
a lot.
I'm down because I know there's going to
15
be a
grand
big
done.
ROI. Yeah, I was like, fuck it, send it. Do you struggle with perfectionism too? I don't know. Is that a Virgo thing or? I know
Yeah.
women Virgo are different than male Virgo. We're a little bit different.
No, yes, absolutely. I want it to be perfect. And I can dwell, like really dwell and go into a huge time suck. And I'm like, damn it, just do the post or just get the process, whatever it is. Like when I don't want to do anything half ass. So I'm like, I want it to be perfect. Then I'm like, okay, if it's not going to be perfect, but like get it to the point where you're like, I am good with this. I am good with presenting it as is. But yes, absolutely. But I tell my team all the time because I'm like, I don't expect perfection, but I do expect progress.
Yeah.
And I think in my social media journey, like you look back at I'm like, oh my God, I thought that was perfect and shit, that was terrible.
Yeah, but you're
I'm
not
like, I
afraid.
did it for
But
4 hours.
you're not afraid to look dumb.
Yeah.
That's like you just got to get over ourselves.
Yeah.
And because my first few videos are awful.
Well, the first time you do anything, it's never good.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I've gotten better and I used to hate to be on camera. I don't still love it, but I'm like, it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I told people, I was like, I think what holds us back is you're like scared or embarrassed or putting yourself out there. And I'm like, dude, I mean, you're just going to have to suck it up. Like, if you want to be in the space, you're just going to have to be okay with like getting a crappy comment or someone telling you something ugly and just, move on.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is.
There's a ton of fun of funny comments that you get when you're going viral when people start sharing some wild things, like to
Mm.
start commenting, like just sharing some weird opinions. But yeah.
One of my videos that went viral was a baseball video. Of course, I spent 2 seconds on it, right? And it was like 2 million views. I was like, what? And they're like, what's your kid's name? Can I have his hand? And it was like teens that are like, because my kid's in the video, and they're like, what's his snap? And I'm like, are you kidding? Like,
They're trying to get at your kids.
I'm like, they're like other kids that like I guess saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, should I take the post down? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
because I was like, a lot of other teeny boppers were like, what's his snap? He's so cute. I was like, oh Jesus. I'm not like delete, hide the comment.
I would have been pretty proud. I'd been like, yeah, my little stallion.
I told my son Briggs, and he's like anti social media. Like Jax, my younger one, he's like my cameraman. He'll do
Okay.
videos with me. My husband is like, he's just one of those like creepers that like looks but never posts. And Briggs is the same way. But me and Jax, like, he's my little sidekick and helps me
Yeah.
with all my social media. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
I love it. I think that sums up some of the questions, but I just have two more things that I want to go over.
Sure.
First, I just want to acknowledge you and want to thank you for your time. And you could be anywhere in Vegas right now, but you're here with me sharing this space. And I know it's going to add a ton of value to a lot of the listeners. My audience varies from people that are just getting licensed to LSPs.
Awesome.
To agency owners and savvy agency owners. And so I think you've shared some great things today, and just your overall spirit. I think you have an awesome spirit to you. And you're right. I don't think you could ever tell that that you're in a bad mood, which says a lot about you and how you show up to other people. You know what I mean? So I acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
And the last question I have for you is my A1 question. So A1, the definition is of the highest quality and standards. And so I like to ask every guest, what are 3 standards that you live your life by?
Integrity for sure. Like authentic. I want to be as, authentic as possible. I am who I am. And then just, I take care of my family. my family is first, like those three things. And and work. Can I do five? Because I'm like, well, and hard work and determination and,
Go for it.
but, that's the biggest thing. I work hard for my family. I want to take care of them and, I want to be authentic and help people. But yeah, those are the things. Just live an authentic life. Be a good human.
Hmm.
Be a good human.
Yeah.
So that's
Love it.
pretty much.
All right. And how can people find you and connect with you? And, whether that's coaching or just to see your awesome content, how can people connect with you?
On Instagram, it's B Brolo. Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, it's Brooke Brolo, my name, keeping it simple. And then coaching, Brooke at CraigWigginsCoaching.com. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Love it. Well, if you guys got some value, you got to do the whole list of things, which is like, comment, subscribe if you haven't yet. And I hope you guys got some value. Thank you so much. Until next time. Peace.